Okay, so challenges. I'd over or under calculated my center console because she's hard up against what is the front of this here. Now what I might be able to do is pull, I'm going to have to get in the car, aren't I? Okay. So I might be able to pull all this off and push the back of the tough box flush up against the mounting panels in here. So all this trim comes off, and so I'll have to push the back of the tough box here right up in under there. And that will take up all this, which might actually hide some of this, which means I won't be able to use my telly poles. However, it was still cheaper to buy it with the telly poles than to buy it without, because it's actually a different back end of the box. And because they're made for police cars in the United States, they sell hundreds of thousands of these with telly poles and stuff all of them to anyone else that doesn't need a telly pole. So yeah. So tomorrow I've got my friend Matthew coming over and we're going to rip that out. We might have to relocate the handbrake, might have to push it back a couple of inches. I did look into the idea of getting an electronic handbrake and just routing the cable up under here into the tough box and having a ratchet inside there, electronically operated. They cost $2,500, so they can go get stuffed for that kind of price. But yeah, having roughly sat this in location, so I'll move it across to the passenger side now. Give me a moment. Okay, so sitting it on the passenger side, having seats out is so great. I can see that it's going to sit roughly like that. It is going to fill this center area so much. Like it is absolutely a massive center console. But people were worried about me putting the stereo at a 45-degree angle here. I don't think that's going to be much of a drama because it's still going to be in roughly the same location that the stock one was, which faced 90 degrees. So I think I'll actually get better visibility out of it at that angle. Because sitting here in the driver's seat, I'll be looking straight down and it will be glaring straight back at me rather than being flat. And if I need to operate anything on the screen, it's easier to go tap than it is to go forward. So yeah, all these are going to have to be replaced. I just cannot pull this dial apart to get it to turn on my electric heater box that I will need. I could retain the current heater box because I'm retaining the coolant system to cool the inverter and motor. However, I think I'll struggle to even get up to 80 or 90 degrees operating temperature. Apparently these things get, if I get to 80 degrees on my inverter, I've cooked it. So I don't know if I'll get it hot enough to meet the requirements for the conversion, which is a problem. Oh, there's I've been looking for him. There he is. Sweet. Oh yeah, because I was taking the steering wheel off. But yeah, pretty much it looks like I'll be able to retain everything above this line here to look normal, except for a custom fascia in here. And I don't need the cup holders up here because I'll have these ones here, which should hopefully sit in the vicinity of here, which will be nice. Anyways, I've figured out what I am doing here. So, because the Nissan has regen activated separately to the gears. It appears on the gear column as gears, however, it is actually a separate signal, so I can put them on separate switches, which is good. So this will be park in the center, up will be drive, down will be reverse, regen on and off here. The motor will still regen, there's no way to turn off basic regen, but I can put extra regen on or off if I need it. Pre-charge contactors. So I've got a pre-charge of 10 seconds and then that switch will light up green or red. Once the pre-charge is activated, I can activate the main contactors. Which will be this one. So it's basically on and start. except start stays on all the time. And this will be my charging isolator, because none of these switches can work if my charger is on. So when it's charging, you can't operate anything else. So that's going to be a physical switch. Charger won't work, so you'll plug it in and nothing will happen. The car can be driven. Or that's on, nothing else works, and the car will charge. Down here, I'm going to put a UHF hidden in here with a remote face. I'll put a plug here to plug my handpiece in. If I don't need it, I just unplug it, walk away. Inverter for 240 volt, and I might put a 415 volt inverter to run a welder off, just to show off. Those will be activated here. Maybe 2 switches, 1 for each. Not exactly sure. Yeah, light bar, and maybe some tray lights and some disco lights or some ambient lights inside. So I can use all these switches. I haven't gone overkill on switches. Have my toolbox and my cigarette lighters to run dash cams and all that stuff off, and my cup holders. So yeah, I do have a jack. Yeah, out of this car though. Get outside. Okay, I should have really filmed this in widescreen format. There we go, widescreen format. Okay, so I have to fix up dent, door dings up there, down here. The whole door is wrinkled, so that all needs to be uncreased. Maybe some bog. I'm going to try and avoid bog where possible. I don't like bogging things up. This one might be a pain to get to, so he might just have to be bogged. All that's going to be welded and smoothed, so that probably is going to be bog. And I don't know how I'm going to avoid that slop. I might have to pack it somehow inside. But in theory, if I weld it under spring tension, it'll then sit and stay. I'm going to keep these. I've decided after all of it, not going to go hard tonneau, I'm just going to go soft tonneau and keep all these. Getting the tonneau at the moment out of Melbourne, because it turns out that every brand of soft cover tonneau that you can buy for these are all made by Tough Tonneaus. My battery box in the back is only going to come up to about here, which will be good. And then the other ones are going to go under where the fuel tank and spare tyre was. So that'll be good. And the reason I don't need the fuel cap is I will show you over here on the Nissan. Oh, closed it. Because the fuel cap is only like, what's that, 4 inches by 4 inches, or slow charge, fast charge. Slow charge is about the size of the current filler nozzle. Fast charge is twice the size. So those won't fit, so I'm going to have to put them under the bonnet. So yeah, that's where I'm at on that. And some of my parts have arrived. Huzzah! I have spring compressors, I have a new radiator, I have wipers, a whole bunch of new suspension bushes, and a lower right control arm. I cannot get a lower left. No one in Australia has them in stock, which is an utter incredible pain in the arse. So that is a pain to get a hold of. I might have to wait until coronavirus is over to do the lower left, but I might be able to salvage the lower left that I've got and at least make it safe, if not brand new. I like to use new components because I don't know what condition these are in, what abuse they've had, all that sort of stuff. I managed to get myself in there and do some measuring as well. The whole Jumbuck steering rack is going to piss off, including this one in here, because I can use the one from the Nissan, and it looks like they're made by the same manufacturer. I think they both said Bosch, which means hopefully they both have the same splines on the end of the steering columns, because the Nissan, turns out, is still a steering column and not full electronic steering, which is why I can't put autopilot in that. And so I can't put autopilot in this, because even though it's electronic steering, it's still mechanical. So, but I'll take the electric power steering from that, put it in here, and get super duper light steering, and then all my steering components won't be modified. I won't be joining two separate steering systems, which is good for the engineer. It's one less tick in the box I need, which saves me money and saves me justifications and a whole heap of crap in that regard. So tomorrow I'm dropping the engine out of here. As for this, all this yellow is going. All this interior is being gutted. Everything is coming out. Absolutely everything. Seats. I'm probably going to keep the seats. They're probably going to be retrimmed. My wife has about 18 sewing machines, including a couple of industrial ones. So I'm going to strip everything off them, cut it all out. She's going to help me. She's not going to do any of the work. I have to do all of that. I'm going to retrim all those seats to match the car, which is going blue with a silver pearl. And because all the paint shops up here are booked out for months, I'm going to be painting it myself. Huzzah, because I've never painted a car before with anything more than a rattle can, and it looked terrible. It would have looked better if I'd set it on fire last time. All the engine bay, though, is just going to get rhino liner, because it doesn't need to handle heat anymore. Well, extraordinary amounts of heat. Brake booster is staying. I'm going to get a Ford Exploder, American Ford Exploder electronic vacuum pump to run that, because I don't think the one in that will fit in here. If it does, I'll see, and I'll use that one in here, which is good. What else? Engine mounts. So I need to make adapters, because these engine mounts, or motor mounts on this, because it doesn't have an engine, it has a motor, are at the back. But everything bolts to a big subframe down there. So I'll just make up mounts to go from these engine mounts up to these engine mounts, and essentially the whole lot will float on two sets of engine mounts, which, well, it's redundant, and it's more things to go wrong. But again, if I don't modify engine mounts, I don't need to get them engineered. So if I make an adapter plate to this engine mount, an adapter plate to the other engine mount, then I haven't modified an engine mount. I've just made an adapter mount, which is not requiring engineering or something like that. It's less stuffing around, and it's less ticks in the box I need to get. Things that I haven't been able to get so far is new radiator mounting bushes. So I might have to salvage some from something else, or press these out and take them in and find something else that fits it super cheap off a different model of car. Lancer is probably going to fit, because it's all Lancer front end. What else? Rims, I need to find new rims, because these are all stuffed, but that back axle is straight. I got the straight edge onto it, did crap load of measurements. She's straight and she's good to go. It snapped the suspension and saved the axle, which is good. But these rims are stuffed. That rim's good. That rim is unrepairable. That rim is good. That rim has now lost all its air. That had air in it last week. Oh, okay. But yeah, that rim is completely rooted. And this didn't have a spare, because it's extra weight, and electric cars don't like extra weight. So yeah, but I'm still going to end up lighter in this than that. So this is going to have a spare. That doesn't have a spare, but that is Ford stud pattern. That is shitty Mitsubishi stud pattern. So that is easy to get load rated rims for, because this is registered as a ute. This is complied as a ute, and I need load rated rims on this. That is registered as a passenger car and doesn't need load rated rims. So it would actually be easy to find 4 stud Lancer rims to go on that than it is to find, because those don't need to be load rated, than finding load rated rims in 4 stud. So the 5 stud is a better conversion, and all that will bolt straight in. So that's where I'm at the moment. That's about it. So tomorrow, ripping engine out, because Matthew's coming over to help me rip the engine out, and I'll do another video.